guy that I'm talking to says, you know what your problem is? You're judging these people because of how they look. For example, and then the other guy is like, yeah, just because they're ugly doesn't mean they're crazy. This is what I wanted to talk about. Oh, wait. It's December 27th, 2023. The time is 10 after 4 in the afternoon. I've not yawned at all until I put this thing on. I hope the sound's going to record right. The day is Wednesday, I do believe. I checked out of my hotel yesterday on Tuesday. Monday was Christmas. So yeah, it's Wednesday. Am I in bed? Yes. That's why I'm hoping this is going to do the sound right. I have the heater on and I'm thawing my feet that were freezing. It's so cold inside the house and just regular outside. I quickly want to update. That's not what I came here for, but I wanted to update. I think that was the last time we were together. Hi, everyone. My name is Baba Loprok. Last we spoke, I was kind of stressing over check engine light on my car. And I was, just to quickly recap, I wasn't sure. I was suspecting the cap. I don't know what else, but the cap. I think. Anyway, I went to bed. I wasn't that stressed, I guess, because I had hoped that it was one of the two things, the cap of gasoline and something else. My gosh, I'm so sorry. So I went to the car on the day that I was leaving. At the time that, after I checked out, I didn't even be like, oh my God, let me check. No, I was like, I think I'm going to be fine. No, I'm lying. I went in the morning. Who knows? Who cares? I did go in the morning though, I think. Oh, it's the fact that my brain cannot remember stuff like that, by the way, is a little concerning. I would like some kind of a whole body scan, but that's neither here nor there. Definitely the neck and the brain and the stomach and the heart, because I don't think there's anything in there, just to see if, I went to the car and I went straight to the battery connection because, I think that's what I thought it was going to be, because I had disconnected the battery when I was going out of the country for several weeks, and I connected it back, but I didn't even use a tool to tie the screw back in. I just used my hand. So I thought I probably it wasn't touching. The two parts weren't touching. So I took a tissue and I just tightened. You know how it's not a screw, it's like I don't want to go too into detail with that, but the thing that I was using, it's like a bolt or a nut. I never know which one's which. I think it's a nut. I had to unnut it and put it upside down. So it was on not the right way. So when I put it the right way, I was able to screw it all the way down with my hand. Just apply pressure. Thank God. I did have a hammer in the car. So that was going to be my backup, and just hammer it until it's fine. Well, hopefully, without breaking anything, obviously. God forbid. So I felt really good once that was tight, because I could see the difference already with my naked eye. And also what gave me hope actually was that, this is what happened. I went in the car and I turned the engine on and it started. And in my head, I just thought to myself, I'm just going to drive as far as I can. And if it switches off or whatever, then I'm going to fix it. That's honestly, it's it's probably not the most responsible way of doing things and living life. But between the skin of my teeth and the seat of my pants, I managed to get to where I am in my 40s in life. It's sheer luck. So I turned the engine on. When I turned the key on, it immediately didn't have the check engine light on. So that was comforting because the night before it was on. And I did what Google said to reset it, even though I knew it was fake news, but I just wanted to not have the check engine light when I come back on the car staring at me on the dash. So I would turn on the engine, turn it back off, turn it on, turn it off. But the light was still there, so I was like, fuck it. And I left. This is the night before. So when I turned the engine on this time, without even just turning the key, the engine light wasn't there. So that already gave me hope. And then I started the car, and it did start right away. And then a new light came on. Not the engine light, but it looked like a battery light. You know, like when your cell phone's charging? That like Z electric light. I knew right away. It confirmed my suspicions that the issue that I was having was with the battery. Then I already explained to you how I fixed the battery part. And after that, I didn't even need to touch like the gas cap until I got to the gas station. But yeah, the car started and I drove. I didn't even like lose the time. I was still at the correct time and all of that. So that was all like nice and comforting news. Because I was like, oh my God, I need to buy another car, blah, blah, blah. I started feeling like, I'm fine. I don't need to buy another car. I love my car. You know how like, it's like when you're in an abusive relationship and you're like, I'm going to break up with him. And then he does something nice and you're like, oh no, I love him. We will be together forever and all of that. So, hold on. Oh, so I was in an actual conversation? What the hell? Oh, no, this is fine. Okay, so I messaged support team of some company and I got a new message saying that they messaged me when I go in there. The only message that's there says, due to inactivity, your whatever has been closed. So that's not a real message. I mean, it's good as nothing. So that's what happened regarding the car situation. But the reason that I came here today is I'm just going over, as I always do, and apparently it's not a healthy thing, 100% ruminating. But I'm going over, I was hanging out with people, and this person says, I said something about, I used the R word, referring to people at the bank. The word that you're not supposed to, it's a real word, but it's also used as an insult, obviously. That's why it's not a good word to use. But I was insulting people at the bank, but like behind their backs. So I didn't think that, we're all friends here, being comfortable saying stuff like that. And this guy says, no, like, this guy says, no, don't use that word. No, he didn't. I thought he was going to say don't use that word, but he said, no. Like, they're not, people who have mental issues are not, I don't know how he said it. Oh, but he, I guess right away, because I used the R word, thought of somebody who is, I guess, I don't know who he considers to be R. And he said his grandson is on the spectrum, and he is very smart and whatever. So I was like, so he's being defensive, right, of people who are on the spectrum, defending them from me, who didn't say anything about people who are on the spectrum. I'm insulting people from the bank for being ridiculous in what they said. This is what happened at the bank, if you care. I submitted my paperwork for an application. I called them. They said they received it and they needed more paperwork. So I submitted that paperwork and I received confirmation that it went through. But they had told me when I called them initially to check with them after 3 days. But the 4th day was going to be on Saturday. And I thought, you know what, let's not call these people on Saturday. Because Saturday. And also, I had called them like on some kind of after hours type thing. And there was nobody working. So I thought, definitely they won't be working on Saturday. And then I was like, while I was out of town for Christmas, I saw that I was going to be receiving 2 letters from the bank, that same bank, in the mail. And I thought, I bet you they're asking for the stuff that I sent preemptively, whatever. So I called them today and I said, hey guys, do you have the stuff that I sent to you? Because you hadn't asked for all that paperwork. You had only asked for one piece, which I sent and was confirmed that you received. But the person who confirmed receipt of that one piece of paper you had asked for subsequently told me that you need more. And I think that the stuff that I'm getting in the mail is telling me about the more that you need. But I've already faxed it because the guy told me before you guys mailed it to me that you're going to need it. So, do you have it? I'm just trying to circumvent it so that I can just go and submit it. I don't have to wait for a piece of paper in the mail. I already know what they want. I didn't want it, like in case the mailman comes after hours, I wanted to actually go to an office and use their fax machine or the library. So I wanted to go before those places closed. I do live in the middle of nowhere. So the lady said to me, trying to figure out why they wouldn't have allocated my paperwork to my file, my application. She asked me if I put, because I did submit all the stuff that was required, obviously. And she said, did you put the account number on the piece of paper? I guess it's a common error that people make. I said, yes, I did. On every single page, I wrote in caps application, and then I put the application number. And she said, maybe next time don't write application, just put app number. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? That is the most silliest thing ever. You don't want the full name application, but you want app number? What the app is going on? So that's when I said, oh my gosh, they're so R. Just, we're venting, we're friends. And the guy is telling me his grandson doesn't, he is very smart and he's straight A student or whatever. And I'm like, why are you talking about your grandson right now when we're talking about people from the bank who are ridiculous? Which happens to be another R word. And I said, are you saying your grandson is R? And then someone else says, no, don't do that. Like, is tiptoeing around me, like, because I think they're worried that I don't have a filter and I'm going to say things that are going to offend this person, hoping that and I don't need that. Like, I'm fine. Don't tiptoe. We're going to have this person with a grandson has a grandson. So they're old enough to live life. We don't need your protection. Like, I don't know. I don't need that hanging over my shoulders. So I'm thinking, no, like, I'm not saying anything offensive. They're trying to defend themselves, backhandedly accusing me of saying people are mentally ill. We're just talking about customer service people who are being silly and reventing. This is not an abnormal circumstance. Okay, I know it's 2024 almost, and I use the R word, but, we're just three friends talking. So, move on to later on, the person who was being the defense attorney, we're all talking, right? And I say something about, they were saying, like, at Walmart, McDonald's, they're introducing machines now, so there will be less people working, and the machines will take over. And then they said at the Dollar Tree, they've added machines. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. I remember going there and being so happy to see all those new machines, because the lines would be so long at the Dollar Tree in our town. It's not our town, it's the next town over. And now we don't have that problem anymore because there's all the machines. So, and I'm somebody who likes to use the self-serving because I don't have to interact with anybody. Just go there, do the self whatever, and leave. So this person says, they're like, oh, at least Walmart, you have the choice. I said, oh, they said you can still have, because I said I like the self-serving. I feel like I'm saying it wrong. They said, Walmart still has it. I said, no, Walmart doesn't. I was waiting for you to finish your thought so that I can say that at Walmart, they don't have it anymore. At least the last 2 times I went to a Walmart here in Victorville, which is not close to my house, but it was en route from where I was. This was actually, come to think of, us in October, and why is my head so scratchy? Gosh. I hope the stuff I'm using, this new stuff I'm using, is not making me itchy, because I don't like itchiness. Last time I bought something that was supposed to be great for head, it made me itch so much, I threw it away. I couldn't even give it to somebody in good conscience. So, I need to monitor this. In fact, I need to try and use a different one. Because, yeah, this is not going to be good. What the hell? Oh, my gosh. Anyway. So, yeah. So, I'm like, no, well, I said, they had this person who didn't seem, and you know what, trigger warning, it's going to sound probably insensitive, but I don't know if you have people that you're comfortable with, you're friendly with, you can goof around with. I don't. So I was like, the person who was helping me seemed like he wasn't 100% there. He was like, oh, I know, talk about like the 5%. And anyway, I won't go to the thing. I said, this person was telling me things like at Walmart, all the grocery stores, they only mark up their stuff by 3.5%. And I was like, really? I never would have guessed that, because doesn't everybody get everything from China and then just mark it up exponentially? I store myself, the Lovely Brook, My Brook, and Trucker Brook on eBay. If you like, message me beforehand, I'll give you a discount. I was like, I'm thinking to myself, I have a store myself, and I mark my things up more than 3.5%. Come on. What are you going to do with 3.5%? Like, if I'm selling something for $10, well, $10 is not a good example. Well, actually, it is. $10, then it's going to be, what's 3.5% of $10? 35 cents. What am I going to do with 35 cents, right? You have to sell so many things to make profit, which is fine, but I just can't imagine, it doesn't make sense. Because as far as I know, the cost price of things is so ridiculous. It's probably 3.5%. And then they mark it up by 96.5 in my, that would be understandable, believable for me. So yeah, I was like, first of all, this guy, he looked like, I don't know, he was giving off a vibe that something's not 100% there. And I'm sorry that I'm saying this. And the guy that I'm talking to says, you know what your problem is? You're judging these people because of how they look. For example, and then the other guy is like, yeah, just because they're ugly doesn't mean they're crazy. I'm like, these people are not ugly. I never said they're ugly. And also, I don't even believe that people can be ugly. Literally, it's not even about beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What do you have to look like to be ugly? What is ugly? Who decides that? I don't even believe in that concept. So I was like, so the guy says to me, for example, do you know, we'll call this person Jim. You know Jim? The other day, he was so pissed off, and I never see him angry. And he started using these big words and just political this and religion and the whatever, and just using all these big intelligent words. I said, are you calling Jim a 5%er? Because when I said the guy looked like he wasn't 100% there, the guy I was talking to said, oh, you mean the 5%ers? I thought, oh, okay, I guess that's one way to call people. So I'm like, are you calling him a 5%er then? And he was like, no. I'm just saying you would... He says, no, I'm not saying so, but I'm saying you are... I said, why are you using him as an example? I'm using these two examples because to me, both these guys with these two examples about the grandson and Jim, it seems to me like they are more... It's not prejudice. They are the ones who are guilty, maybe, of calling people ours than I am. I said, no, you're the one, you're telling me a story about Jim, who obviously surprised you with his intelligence because obviously you thought he had a much lower IQ than he displayed when he was angry. And you were surprised to find that out. And you thought to yourself, oh my gosh, I was wrong all along. That is a you problem, sir. You're the one who's not a good judge of character or a judge of whatever. I am right. I mean, half jokingly, obviously. Who's always right? And the same person, the reason that I said to him, he continues to display these signs is that one day there's somebody that we both know from our town, and we bumped into that person. And afterwards, he continues to talk to me after we talked to this person who is a female. And he says to me, oh my God, I only met this person. I didn't know you guys know each other. Granted, I generally don't know anybody. So he said, I bumped into this person earlier, and she was so nice, and she came to help out and blah, 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 blah. And I told her a story of my daughter who is working with a lady who is also a lesbian. I said, why would you think that? I said, why are you telling them? Why are you telling this female that we both know about a lesbian person? You know, she's straight, right? And he was like, oh, no way. I said, exactly. You see what I'm saying? Do you see the trend? It's he who is that way, who judges people based on, I'm not saying like you cannot have a gaydar and all of that. With this person, when I was also trying to figure out not their sexuality, because that's, for me, that's not a problem, but this person is very androgynous. She looks like a really good looking guy who could look like a girl, or a girl who could be a guy, but good looking still. And is like tomboyish, got the haircut. So it can be a confusing look. And they literally have a boy's name. Just like how like your name would be James. Like that. So it was really confusing. And I didn't want to make a mistake and say something offensive. Of course, I could have just asked them, which I feel like someone like her probably gets asked a lot. So I was trying to figure it out without offending them. And so we're now close with this person, and they tell me, like, people say she's lesbian a lot. People actually go as far as saying she's sleeping with a lady who is her sister. But everyone's like, yeah, that's not really your sister. You guys are a couple. That kind of thing. I mean, I couldn't imagine what it must be to be in her shoes. But I like that she's comfortable enough to tell me that. So when this guy tells me the story about the lesbian, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know that she's straight. No way, there's no way. It's one thing to be lesbian. Sometimes I didn't even know like if she's a man or a woman. I said, no, she is fully a woman and she is straight. And no, she's not dating her sister. So, just so you know. And he was like, oh my God, should I like apologize? I said, apologize for what? Did you call her out of her name? Or did you just tell her a story about a lesbian? Assuming. He said, yeah. I said, well, you do whatever you want. But for me, it was tickling because I thought it was funny, just laughing at him. So for me, that story and him with this story about Jim, I'm like, you've done this before, dude, and you're doing it again. I don't have a track record of being a good judge of not just character, but just I'm good on picking a vibe. I am. Sometimes I will pick up a vibe and think to myself, oof, this person is a snake. But like, I have nothing to back it up with. I just met this person. And then I have to wait until the person proves to the other person that they're close to. Like if you introduce me to your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your roommate or friend or whatever. And I think to myself, oh, I immediately didn't pick up good vibes from this person. But you can't always tell people that. So you just wait it out. And then when it does happen, I'm thinking to myself, I knew it. And it's just been the story of my life. So I know that that's something, it's like a gift. Sometimes I have a little bit of clairvoyance when it comes to my dreams. I'll see something exactly the way. I don't like see a wedding and there's going to be a funeral. No, I see what's going to happen. And then it'll happen. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. So I know those things about myself. And now I'm talking to this person over here who's just generally dismissive in his personality. And I have my own gauge on who he is and the kinds of things that I say in front of him and stuff that I would never say, etc., etc. And one of the reasons I keep him in arm's length, because of the deductions that I've made. When you deduce, is there deduction? About him with my judge of character that happened when I first met him 2 years ago. But I mean, of course, I'm not going to say to him, this is how right I am. When I first met you, this, that, and the other. You can't, like, right? We're trying to make friends over here. So, yeah, I thought that was and he was so defensive. He said, no. I said, I met Jim, and I never thought, like, there was something wrong with him. I just thought, wow, this guy's tall. Jim's, like, 7 foot tall or whatever. I just thought he's tall, but I'm not somebody who just like walks up to people and think, oh, this one's like this one's like that. No, it's a feeling that I get, and I'm like, and usually it's right, like I said. So I've actually interacted with Jim myself, and he is good with like fixing certain things and whatever. And when I found out, I like talked to, in fact, I even saw him at the doctor's. We went to the same doctor. I was like, hi. I always say hi to him. When I first found out what his name was, I'd always address him by his name. I'm good with names. I always address him by his name and say, hi, how are you doing? I'm respectful to people, believe it or not. So I was like, what? I never thought that. Why are you trying to prove to me that I was wrong about Jim? When I said what? I would never say anything about Jim. I don't pick up weird vibes about him. So, like, what are we talking about? So, yeah, that's the kind of, and there's people keep saying, no, don't go. Like, let me get the fuck out of here. I just came to facts anyway. So, yeah, I thought it was interesting. And and this person, I may have talked about him here before. He wants to hang out. He wants to take things further. I don't know further than what. Well, I know further than what. He wants, he's always offering me a job, trying to introduce me to people. I want you to meet my kids. No, I don't want to meet your kids. I don't want to meet anybody. I'm like, why are you always trying to make me meet people? Even today, there was supposed to be a thing at his office. So I said, I came late because I wanted to be late enough that I missed the thing where everybody's going to be here. And he said, no, you should have come when everyone's here. I said, for what? He said, so that you can be around people. I said, I don't want to be around people, dude. Like, I'm in my 40s. I know what I want and what I don't want. I keep telling him I don't want to be around people, and he keeps putting me around people. It's disrespectful and dismissive, and it's just rude. How many times do I have to communicate the same thing to you, and you're supposed to have high IQ? Really? So, I want you to meet my daughter. No, I don't want to meet your daughter. Why? Because I don't like to be around people. Why? Because I just don't want to. It's not my thing. I don't enjoy it. No, they'll understand, and they'll be like, are you okay? I'm thinking, what? Now you're basically patronizing me right now. Is it rude that I use that word in that context? Probably. Because you're not supposed to use any words anymore. So I apologize for all the words that I used up until now. And the ones I'm going to be using moving on. So I'm like, no, I don't want to. That's like so like dismissive. So they're going to be respectful. They'll keep asking me, are you okay? And they'll tell you, you're safe here. You're safe around us. What the fuck? No, dude, that is so rude. So, yeah. No, I don't want a job. I have a job. I'm already blah, blah, blah. Oh, I have a job for you. Hey, are you busy? I said, yeah, you always ask me I'm busy. Yeah, I'm working. I'm always working. I'm going to go back to the house and work. Okay, no, stay a little bit longer. Because in his head, like, I'm not working. I'm not, like, it's annoying. Like, this is why I can't stand people. Honestly. So, yeah, he's like, oh, your trucking license only expires next year. Let's go. And by the way, I need to look up what happens when your driver license expires. How long have I had this? Anyway, oh, wow, it's going to be 5 years in less than 6 months that I've had my trucking license. So he's like, come on, let's go on the road. Just, get a trucking job. He always wants me to get a job. I have a fucking job. I'm self-employed. Oh, maybe, you know what? I'm going to use the rest of this year to think about this person and really distance myself. And one more thing about me, then I'm going to let you go. I'm always working on quitting something and or removing myself from someone. Oh my gosh, today was a good day with regards to, I didn't get much done. But I stayed up all day. I didn't sleep during the day. Oh my gosh, am I back finally? How long did that take me? Less than 2 weeks. Anyway, at Babala Brook everywhere. I have a babalabrook.com blog. And my stores are The Lovely Brook, Trucker Brook, and My Brook on eBay. I also have a YouTube channel. It's Babala Brook on there. Toodles.